Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Broncos Nation.
Let's go.
Let's ride. Broncos Nation. Let's ride. Let's ride.
It's Chuck&Schup.
What's up, boys?
What's up? Hey,
What's
we
up?
got the mic.
Hey, what's good, player? Broncos Nation.
Hey, we got the mic.
Let's ride.
Chuck, we got the hot mic today.
Let's go. We got the hot mic. Hot mic's going around. It's going around town. It's coming back.
Listen.
We're back. Take us away.
I am your host, Shoop, with my good, wonderful friend, the Chuck Bambino. Follow him at Chuck&Schup LLC, my social media.
Twitter, link in
Master.
below. Check us out.
So on tap for today, we have our next division in line of our previews. I hope you liked our last two previews because this one is going to be our most fire yet.
It's going to be gas.
It's going to be petrol.
Literally petroleum.
Literal petroleum. And that's a good way to describe the four teams in this division. The AFC West. The AFC West is an incredible division. So much to talk about. I'm gonna put this fake mic down.
Yeah. It's time to get into some business.
Let's get into it. What is your biggest storyline?
So my biggest storyline right now, so it's pretty recent and has to do a lot with the Chiefs because they're absolutely going to explode. Because our boy Travis Kelce, he's a dog, and you know that whole story with his girlfriend. And he broke up and everything.
As previously mentioned.
Yes, I think he's absolutely going to go off this season. He's going to go full football mode. He doesn't have to worry about his wife like spending or his girlfriend. I mean, spending his money or like him spending money on her. He doesn't have to worry about that. Stress off his shoulders. He's going to be an absolute beast. He's going to be the best tight end in the NFL, and he's going to absolutely wipe the floor with the AFC West, and he's going to take over. And it's going to be huge for the Chiefs because they need a guy like that after losing Tyreek Hill.
He could be on another level this year.
Hold on, a new level. What do you have to say about your storyline?
So it's kind of going off the Chiefs, but it's more of the response that these other teams in the AFC West are giving to the Chiefs. All three teams made major acquisitions this offseason, all three teams besides the Chiefs. So you got the Chargers, who made multiple big signings, mostly on defense. Khalil Mack, elite pass rusher, they gave him a multi-year deal, hoping to revitalize his career after what's been a couple of down seasons in Chicago. And then they signed J.C. Jackson over from the Patriots, who was arguably the best corner in the NFL last year.
Super consistent. And
the Chargers' biggest weakness, of course, was their defense. So immediately the Chargers plug in their biggest holes. Then you move on to the Broncos. We all know what their big signing was. QB Russ.
Broncos Nation, let's ride.
QB Russ is going to make the Broncos an instant Super Bowl contender. The Broncos roster the last few seasons has been very, very good, but they've been held back by poor quarterback play. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Mr. No Effort.
Yeah.
Tough.
It's tough.
It goes without saying that Russell Wilson's just a huge addition and will instantly put the Broncos into contention. And then you get the Raiders, who aren't backing down. You know, they see these moves happen in front of them. They could have easily went the other way and been like, you know what, we have a new coach, we're going to rebuild. No, they went the other way. They got two big signings. Of course, Devontae Adams is the major one on the offensive side. A huge weapon for Derek Carr, and now Derek Carr is loaded on offense. But then they also get Chandler Jones from the Cardinals, who has been an established pass rusher for years, and the Raiders' pass rush has been one of their weak points since they got rid of Khalil Mack.
So they're gonna have him and then Max Crosby on the other side.
That's
tight.
It's gonna be ridiculous this year, and this division should be a hell of a lot to watch.
I'm fucking excited. Now, your breakout player for this division.
Breakout player, I immediately went to the Broncos offense. So you insert Russell Wilson, and you've got a lot of guys on the offense whose numbers are just going to spike tremendously from the improved quarterback play. And I'm looking at Jerry Jeudy. Now, Jerry Jeudy, we all know he how good he was in Alabama, but his first 2 years in the NFL have been okay. I mean, he's shown his talent, but he's either spent some time on the injured reserve or just held back by poor quarterback play.
Yeah.
The Broncos receivers in general are going to benefit from this increased volume of passing and more downfield throws. But Judy should be the biggest beneficiary because Judy has not had anything remotely close to the talent of Russell Wilson, and he can post huge numbers.
Fast as hell. He's so fast.
He's so fast, and they have a lot of guys on offense. You can't just pay attention to Judy. They have the duo at running back in Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. Mm-hmm. Their other receivers are not too bad either. I know they got
Patrick, Cortland Sutton,
Patrick Sutton, Albert at tight end.
Yes.
Not gonna try to say his last name.
No Font still on the team.
Well, Font got traded for
I
Wilson.
got traded. Okay, that's right. He was in Seattle.
So
they are stacked.
So they're stacked, and I think Judy is going to be the biggest beneficiary. Watch out for him in fantasy this year.
I would definitely pick up Judy. I would say my breakout player, I'm going to go along the same lines at wide receiver that you said, and I'm going to go with Valdez-Scantling on the Chiefs. On the Kansas City Chiefs. So my boy Scantling. So the Chiefs picked up him. They picked up Juju Smith-Schuster. So, and then they have Kelsey, and then there's Edwards-Helaire running back. My thought process is Juju Smith. I'm hoping he comes back and has another breakout year. Again, I said Kelsey. He's going celibate. Well, probably not celibate, but he's gonna have more focus in the season. He's gonna go off. They're gonna have to double him. Frees up another guy that's like a Mecole Hardman, but 6'2". Valdez-Scantling, he's like 6'2", and he ran like a 4.4. So I'm hoping this guy, he gets all the deep digs, he's open on the seams, and I'm hoping him and Mahomes, like they said in camp so far, will have that connection, and it's going to be another thing like him and Tyreek.
Okay, Charlie, let me ask you this question. So if you think Valdez-Scantling is going to break out, I mean, it's a bold pick. My question is, if he couldn't do it with Rodgers, what makes you think he's going to do it with Mahomes?
I just think that he's going to be put into a different system where it's not all sideline fades to Devontae Adams as it was in that system. It was sideline fades, and then if Scantling was open on a fade route outside, then he would get hit. But Devontae Adams was Rodgers' guys. Quick slants, throw the ball, rocket speed, and Adams was always there. Scantling, he was open at times, but they also used guys like Geronimo Allison, and they had another receiver, and they always threw it to Tanyan in the goal line too. Tanyan had several receiving touchdowns. So I'm thinking Scantling, he gets that third wide receiver look, and they bring him in a lot for those deep balls that because they're going to cover Hardman. They're going to cover Kelsey right off the bat. They're going to cover Juju Smith-Schuster. He's a body in its own, and he can become a great wide receiver like we've seen him be great before. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking Scantling's a guy who's going to be open on the deep post and no one's going to look at, and he's going to become that weapon. And with prior camp reports, they've been clicking in Mahomes.
Well, regardless, one of these Chiefs receivers has to break out. Kelsey can't do all on his own. Of course, he's celibate, but he is aging. I have no doubt he's going to put up dominant numbers this year, but that's only if someone else on the Chiefs can step up and help take away some of that production. So going into next XFactor, who do you believe is the make or break player in this very, very tough division?
Now, I know he's probably one of the best defensive players, right, in the league, from this career in the past. But coming off an injury, I think the X factor in this division is going to be Khalil Mack. I think it's his season to make or break. He's on a new team. He's getting a fresh start. He has the chance to win a Super Bowl on a very well put together team. So I'm hoping he becomes the X factor within himself and proves to everybody else that that coming off of an injury that he can still excel at a great level, because he is getting old. And if he doesn't do that well this season, I don't know if people can regard him as a starter. And he might just be coming in on third and down, just for a pass rush. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping he becomes that X factor and becomes that difference maker for the Chargers.
Yeah, they gave him such a huge deal.
That's what I'm saying. And they spent all that money. They're expecting
a lot out of him. I'm actually going to go with another player, another one of the big signings for the Chargers. J.C. Jackson.
Yes.
Now, he was elite last year. So the Chargers already have Chris Harris back there, and now J.C. Jackson goes along with him, making this what should be an elite secondary.
Derwin James.
Darren James,
On
too.
the back end.
But the thing is, players from the Patriots who have had a lot of success there in the past, those players tend to struggle when they go to a new team. I mean, we're Giants fans, see Nate Solder.
Yes.
And that's just one example. There's countless other examples. We'll see about Gilmore. I mean, but the Patriots players tend to, when they leave Belichick's system, they tend not to do as well for whatever reason it is. Maybe it's the coaching they have under there.
Mm-hmm.
So, can J.C. Jackson live up to that billing? I really feel like the Chargers can have an elite defense this year, and part of it comes with Khalil Mack. Can he enhance the pass rush with Joey Bosa?
Can he be the X Factor?
But J.C. Jackson, if he can put up elite numbers, it's going to be hard, even for these talented AFC West teams, to throw on these guys.
And that defense needs a lot.
The MVP. I mean, the MVP might be obvious for his division, but let's hear it anyway. Who do you think?
Well, I mean, it's very biased. Who I think the MVP is. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes. It was always Patrick Mahomes, and it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. So he's the best quarterback in the league. He's been consistent his entire career. He had that injury, but then came back. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But I think this year he's going to need to take more command as a quarterback because he doesn't have the Tyreek Hill. He probably doesn't have the most elite defense too. So he's going to have to do the most. And this year we saw in the beginning he wasn't really clicking on all cylinders, but I think this year he's really realized that he has to come out of the gate strong, and he has to start really strong because their schedule is so tough.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off you there. Mahomes is the MVP of this division because all these other teams in the division have tons of talent around them. Now, the Chiefs actually lost more talent and gained during the offseason. And then you also point out the fact that before Mahomes got there, Andy Reid, he had many successful seasons, but Mahomes elevated Reid's success to a whole nother level. I mean, yes, they elevate each other, but it's really the only reason people are saying the Chiefs are still a Super Bowl contender is because of Mahomes.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Mahomes, this is really, with this division, it's a 7-win team.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't really,
100%.
I mean, you could say that about Russell Wilson, but we haven't seen Russell Wilson play in a Broncos uniform yet, and the Broncos have a great running attack and really good defense. So there's those factors as well, and the Chargers are stacked everywhere, and the Raiders play great team ball. I mean, if Derek Carr can have a tremendous season, if the Raiders win the division, I think Derek Carr should absolutely be MVP with what he had overcome.
No, 100%. I agree.
But right now, you can't go with anyone but Mahomes. It would be stupid not to go with him.
You could go with Russell Wilson too. You could say Russell Wilson because he's going to have to do the most as well.
Yeah,
but Mahomes is the favorite.
But not as much as Mahomes got to do this year.
Herbert could. I mean, I feel like any of these quarterbacks really could win the MVP.
Herbert's not that far from taking over Mahomes'
Right.
MVP.
That's because of his arm strength and his talent.
Right, but he's got to get to a playoff game. Well,
he has got to win one. Yeah.
I think he got to one playoff game.
Yeah,
but like
past season. Yeah.
He's got to get a playoff win.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get to who's going to win the division, do you have any bold predictions for each division?
I want to be bold, and I want to say that the Broncos finished third. I'm going to say 3 of the teams out of those divisions make the playoffs, right? It's inevitable. I think they're all so stacked that they beat everybody else. So I think 3 of those teams out of that division are going to make the playoffs. Second bold thing is I think the Broncos could leap over the Raiders. I think the Raiders could go to shit, and I think the Broncos could leap over them and be the third team to make it in that division.
So, for my bold prediction, I want to say all 4 teams make it to the playoffs because it's so good.
Yeah.
I can't see it though because they're all play each other. I think they're going to kind of beat each other up, and some other teams going to sneak in there. But I will say I think 4th place will have a winning record.
Okay.
I think that's pretty bold.
I like that.
It's really hard, especially with a 17-game schedule.
Yeah.
it's really hard for that to happen. I think it will happen. I just think that when these teams go outside of their division, that they'll be up on their competition.
So you think the winning division team, where do you think they're gonna go? Do you think they're gonna go like 12-5, or they're gonna go like 11-6? Do you think it's gonna be that tough, or like they're gonna be like 13-4?
I think 13-4, like 12-5, 11-6, 9-8.
11-6 for 2, 9-8 for both. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So let me break down how I think this division is going to play out. At 4, you got the Raiders. The Raiders added a lot of talent, but there's still a lot of questions. My biggest question is the O-line. The O-line
100%.
did a horrible job run blocking for Josh Jacobs last year, and it's hard to find a good rhythm on offense when your run game's always struggling. Yes, they added Devontae Adams, and Derek Carr is good. He's not Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So it remains to be seen what Adams can do. I mean, we've seen so many receivers go to other teams and not put up that same production. So I just think there's a lot more risk with the Raiders. I mean, I would be surprised to see them. I think they could definitely get to 10 wins. I have them at 9-8 though, just because of their tough division. And somebody's got to finish last division.
Yeah, someone has to come in last, guys.
At 3rd, I'm going to put the Chiefs. The reason I put the Chiefs at 3.
Do they make the playoffs?
Yes, the Chiefs will make the playoffs. Andy Reid will guide this team to 11 wins. But running down the first 7 games of their season before their bye week, they go at Arizona, home versus the Chargers, at Indy, at the Buccaneers, home versus the Raiders, home versus the Bills, and at the 49ers. That is a brutal schedule for any team. And it's easy to say, oh, they have Mahomes and Reed, they're a lock. I don't really know. And with the losses they've had this offseason, it could be tougher for the Chiefs than we think. But am I going to bet against them? No way. I'm not going to bet against them. But I just think that the Broncos and the Chargers have a slightly easier schedule. I mean, they still play most of the same teams, but they have a couple more easier games. And the reason I like those teams better is because they just feel more complete around. There's just less question marks. We don't know who's going to step up on the Chiefs' offense.
Matchups, yeah.
So 2nd, I have the Broncos. Russell Wilson obviously makes his team way better.
I kind of like that. I kind of like the Broncos moving up there.
This team had a lot of rookies on defense last year, but those rookies played pretty well, and now they have another year of experience under their belt. And I love this running game that they have, the 1-2 punch with Javonte Williams, who can break out as a top 5 RB this year.
He's going to be nasty.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pick him in fantasy for sure.
Yeah, with Gordon and Russell Wilson's experience, the Broncos have been dying for some playoff success. And I think this is the year where they turn around. But I have the Chargers, who I think are one of my favorite Super Bowl contenders. I think they have maybe the best roster in the NFL.
Defense is pretty
sick, and I mean, they play like 10 skill players on offense every game.
Yeah.
Different guys that touch the ball. The way they balance the offense is incredible. Not many teams do that. And Herbert is just coming into his own as one of the best QBs in the league.
I just want to check out their depth chart real quick.
I think this is the Chargers division.
So Herbert at QB. So they still got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, solid receiver. They got a lot of veterans, Palmer, Jalen Guyton in the back end. They picked up Gerald Everett. Defense, Jerry Tillery. Well, they got Joey Bosa, who's a fucking beast. Khalil Mack, they just added him. Sante Samuel Jr., they just drafted. Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, and it is a fucking solid roster. Kyle Van Noy comes off the bench. Pretty fucking solid. Kenneth Murray Jr. coming back. So, I think you may be right with the Chargers there at 1, but you know my stubborn ass is a Chiefs fan through and through. So those Chiefs, they might come out on top.
But what do you think is going to happen? I want to hear your prediction, not mine, yours.
Well, I said, yeah, Chiefs, 1, Chargers, 2. I want Broncos, 3, and then Raiders, 4. But I think it's going to be the Raiders because Russell Wilson just got onto the scene, but Russell Wilson could pop off at any moment in time.
Interesting.
Broncos Nation, let's ride.